Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Learn Teams for Gov training session Tuesday afternoon. My name is Abby Quinn, and we'll go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. I'm going to give everyone a little bit more time to hop on the link today. We'll get going in about 2 minutes. Thanks for being here. Alrighty, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get started. As I said before, welcome to Learn Teams for Gov. My name is Abby Quinn. I'm actually really excited today to be here. I've kind of been tasked with leading these training events the past couple months and into the future. So I'm doing a lot of delegating and not as much presenting as I would love to be doing. So I'm excited to be here today, hosting today's session. Oh, that might be better audio now, but just in case you're new, we've been doing these sessions since the beginning of the work from home orders and kind of since the beginning or middle of March. They went from daily down to twice a week, and we are moving full speed ahead, making sure that we have as much resources and available presenters and people with a bunch of Teams expertise available to our amazing federal customers, especially as we're kind of navigating this new world we live in. So unfortunately, because this is a live event, there is no ability for you guys to come off of mute and ask questions, but there is a Q&A for those of you that have any questions, whether it's specific to your organization or specific to the content that we're sharing at this time. Feel free to throw your questions out there. I've got my amazing colleague Shane Jaspers is also on the call today. He'll be helping me out with our presentation. He'll be moderating the Q&A. He'll bring up some questions if they are relevant to the larger group, and he'll also be privately answering questions if maybe you have more of a specific one-off question for yourself and your organization. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about apps and app integration, tab integration, but we're doing something a little different. I think that we've spent a lot of time the past couple months telling you guys what we can do and like what's available in Teams, how features work. But I think that what we really need to focus on as we move, a little bit outside of Teams fundamentals and into more practical application and the use of the tool, I really wanted to do a training on what it would look like to actually get assigned a project and then have to use Teams to accomplish that project. So today, Shane and I are going to kind of set up an example of what a project might look like from start to somewhat finish. It's kind of hard to do in an hour-long session where we're going to be showing you guys certain things like different applications you can pin, how to create a team, how to pin documents and co-author documents, and just kind of a little bit more of a detailed explanation as to what it might look like to actually work with Teams and to be productive in this application. So just to let you guys know, we do have some awesome sessions coming up through September. We just released our September schedule. So we really still are focusing a lot on smart meetings, Teams fundamentals, as more and more federal customers are adopting Teams and are kind of making the transition from Skype to Teams, or even from Exchange to Teams if you're trying to maybe get a little bit more out of email. We are going to be doing a best practices session on Thursday of this week. So it's going to be a Teams fundamentals-ish, but with some actual tangible best practices that myself and my other customer success managers have noticed or identified with our federal customers as of late. So make sure you tune in for that. It should be a good one. I know we're going to definitely do some information on notifications and different ways that you can make teams, you can really pull the most productivity out of teams through those best practices. So that will be Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. These are kind of our segue into what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking a little bit about Planner, a little bit about what this website tab is over here. We might even go over a little bit on forms, but essentially we are going to take all of the things that you know and love about teams and increase their productivity. I'm probably going to use that word a lot, so don't hold it against me. But we'll go ahead and set the stage for what our, I keep using air quotes and you guys can't see me, but our quote unquote assignment is. So today, Shane and I are going to be acting as employees of, a fake organization or maybe even Microsoft, but we've been asked to create a newsletter for our organization. We want to kind of figure out a way to bring that engagement and collaboration and a little camaraderie and morale back to our team, since we don't get to actually physically be around them very often. So we will do all this loosely. We just wanted to have kind of a solid example and starting point as we launch into this session and talk about what it's like to really go from, okay, you've been assigned something, it's time to set up a team, let's make some channels, and then let's get into the nitty-gritty of actually using Teams application and to the best of its abilities. So that's where we're going to go from here. I'm going to get out of this presentation. I have to change my screen for a second, or actually I don't. I just go over here. Shane, do we have any questions so far? Anybody who needs a little bit of information to start us off?
Nope, no questions yet. I just want to encourage everybody, please utilize that Q&A section over on the right side. We are here to answer your questions.
Thank you. Awesome. And yeah, I told Shane I'm feeling a little goofy today, so don't hold it against me, guys, but I'll try to keep y'all entertained. Okay, so let's pretend that we just got assigned, our boss just talked to us, and they're like, okay, this is what I want you to do. We're going to make a newsletter. I want you to assign roles and kind of figure out who your team should be. So I'm sitting here and maybe my question might be, how long do we want to do this newsletter? And my general rule of thumb, if you're given a project or a task, or if you're put on a team or of some sort, and you think you're going to be working with this team or working on this specific project for longer than 2 weeks, I think this in particular, I think, is going to be a perfect example of this is going to be an ongoing situation. So it's the perfect situation for you to make a team. If you are given a task that it has a finite end date that is in 3 weeks from now, this project will be over, I recommend using the group chat feature in Teams. And if anybody would like me to show that, please throw it in the chat. I'm happy to do so. But I do think group chat is a little bit more, it's a little what's the word? It's perfect for, projects or tasks that aren't going to be super long-winded. I recommend creating a team and then subsequently creating channels whenever you're going to be working on something for a prolonged period of time, because that's whenever you're going to have more than one document. You're going to have more than one deliverable. You're going to maybe have some structure to that assignment that you want people to be aware of. And I really think that's whenever you need to use the team function. I don't think that for short sprints of projects, or if you have a one-off project, I think group chat and the one-on-one chat capability is better, just because you're not going to have quite as much content. You're not going to have quite as much to share or co-author, and you may not have as many people working on it. The one caveat to that is if you have a project that has to include 100 people and it's due in 2 weeks, then I might still make a team with that just because it's a little cleaner. But so I don't see any new questions, so I'm going to go ahead and just start we're making a team. So let's pretend that this newsletter is going to go out for the next 6 months, every 2 weeks for the next half a year. So we're going to head on over to our Teams button up here. I call this the Teams menu bar. And you've got your activity, chat, Teams, calendar over here. So the Teams is, I call it the meat and potatoes of Teams. And we're going to come down to this little button where it says join or create a team. And we want to go ahead and create a team. We're going to create a team from scratch, build a team from scratch, make it public. So if maybe we need to add more people to it, it's super easy. It's very discoverable. People can find this newsletter team should they want to join it, or should they be assigned part of our project team. The other two options are private and org-wide. Private channels are going to be private teams are going to be teams where people aren't going to just see them when they click on that join or create a team button. Private teams, you have to request permission to gain access into that team. The owners of the team are able to give permission, but public just means anyone can click to join. Org-wide, pretty self-explanatory. Everyone in the organization automatically becomes members of the team. But like I said, today we're going to make this public, so it's just a little easier. We're going to call this the Newsletter Ninjas team. Just came up with the ninja theme, but it's not going to be a theme, but keep going. All right, we're going to go ahead and create that. And it should take me to a screen where I can go ahead and add members. Yep. First and foremost, my man Shane. We're going to add him. And right here, I should be able to change his level of his role here. So I'm going to make him an owner. Another best practice that we've learned throughout the process of people and organizations adopting teams, it's always good to have more than one owner. I don't know if you guys were on the live event training session last Thursday, but I didn't assign a second owner to a situation, and it made the link not work last Thursday. So my colleague had to run in, and because I made her an owner in a team, she was able to make a live link, spin it up really fast, and we didn't have any disruption in our training session. So that was pretty awesome. So just a good rule of thumb, always have more than one owner. You never know what could happen. Having one person in charge of the team can maybe lead to some distress should that person have to leave your organization really quickly, or should they get pulled from the project really fast. It's just easier to start off from the beginning and add someone else as an owner. Let's see, let's add Adam to the team, and Bonnie, and Braden. I want 5 people on our team, so that's 4. Let's add one more. Let's do Akash. Okay, add all 4 of them. Just to really emphasize the point, we will also make Adam an owner of this team. Great. So there's our members of our team right there. We can always add more, or we can, as an owner of this team, I am able to remove people from the team should I decide that they are no longer needed, or if I'm just feeling, I don't know, sassy. Let's go ahead and close this. All right, so let's go to our Newsletter Ninjas section. And as you can see, it automatically took me to a new channel called General. Every single team that you make by default is going to have this General channel. And one of my favorite metaphors in regards to teams and channels is, imagine your team is kind of like it's everyone. Everyone in the team is a member of the team. They can see what's in the public channels. They have access to all the information that is shared within this specific team. As you can see, this is my teams panel, and these are all the teams I am a member of. But there are people in this channel and in this team who are not in this Teamwork Champions team, and that means they cannot see what's in this Teamwork Champions team. They can only see what's here. So that's important to note. And another fun thing with the teams panel is you are able to kind of drag and drop. So we're going to make this our very first one since it's super important today. This general channel, the channels are kind of like dividers within a binder. So your whole binder is Newsletter Ninjas, and then within that you have subcategories, or within that you have little sub projects. So sometimes you get a huge project, but within that there's obviously smaller projects. So you're able to create channels to kind of substantiate the different work that has to go through those channels. Shane, do you call it a house? You say that the team is like the house, and then each channel is like a room in the house, right?
Yep. And yeah. You can technically go to any room of the house and do whatever you want, but you probably wouldn't go to the attic to cook dinner. You would probably want to do that in the kitchen. So each channel, just like each room in the house, has its own purpose, and you want to try to keep everything on track within those channels.
I love that analogy. I think that's a really good one too. Okay, so just to show this a little bit further, I'm going to click on this ellipses. My biggest piece of advice is, when in doubt, find that ... And wherever you're kind of maybe losing it, you don't know where an option is, it's probably within the ellipses. So I'm going to go to my Manage Team button, which brings me to all the different settings that I have within this team. One of them is channels. We're going to add a channel. So by default, everyone is in the general channel, obviously. That's where you can post, all up announcements, things that directly affect everyone in that team can go in this general channel just by default. But I'm going to make things a little bit more specific, a little bit easier to find, and let's do a channel for roles and responsibilities. It's going to be standard, but if I wanted to, if let's say there was a leadership team involved in this newsletter, so maybe 3 of us that are going to be in charge of the actual deliverable of the newsletter, I would be able to change this to private. And that means that essentially a little master lock button goes in front of that channel, and it indicates to me that only the people that are in that private channel see it. If you are not a member of a private channel, you don't even see it on your Teams panel. It doesn't, that would be too enticing. Everyone would have a lot of questions. But this roles and responsibilities, we just need, everyone on the team to have access to that. So for the sake of our example, though, I will make a private channel so everyone can see what that looks like. And we're going to go to channels, add channel. We'll call this the final newsletter deliverable. Go down here, change it to private, and then it'll ask you to what members do you want to add. So we're going to make Shane on this one and Adam, my 2 other owners. And as you can see, it did populate, like it knew the members of the team, so it only gave me options. I couldn't add someone to a private channel or any channel who wasn't already a member of this team. There we go. All right, so you can see here the little master lock right there. That just indicates to me that this is a private channel and I am a member of it. If I was not a member of this private channel, I would not be able to see it. So we're going to go down to roles and responsibilities. And in any project, the very first thing you kind of have to think about is who's going to be in charge of what. So to do that, I'm going to upload an Excel spreadsheet so that I can create a table that will tell me and my colleagues who is in charge of doing what. So to do that, I go up to Files. And straight from Teams, I can actually select New, go down here to an Excel workbook, title it Newsletter Roles, click Create, and it's going to take me right into what you're already comfortable and familiar with, which is an Excel workbook. So up top, I will put name and role. So Abby, but in this demonstration, my name is Maud, which is an administrator role. I will be the editor down here. And look, just like you're used to using in Excel, all of your basic functionality is available here. And you can see we're still in our Teams purple screen. So that's the beauty of Teams. I think it's really cool because one of the reasons we created Teams was because we got some research that basically indicated that every time you switch a screen, you lose 8 seconds. Like your brain has to rewire or like kind of reformat itself to get yourself comfortable with working in whatever new screen you're in. So Teams allows you to not ever have to leave a screen. So think of all the times you go from email to browser to Skype to SharePoint, to whatever else you have going on. That's why we all have like 40 tabs open, but you multiply that times 8 seconds and you're losing a lot of productivity during that time frame where your brain is readjusting to your new task. So I like that. Sorry, Shane. Butchered your name. I like that it gives you the ability to kind of do everything all in one place. And I went to school in Texas, go Frogs, TCU. I'm obsessed with purple. So it all makes sense. And it makes sense why I'm a Teams girl. Shane, we're going to make you the movie critic because all we really can do right now during COVID is watch movies and binge watch TV shows. So you're going to be in charge of putting out a review or maybe what's going to happen next, what's coming out next. I think this would be really valuable actually to have right now. Let's have someone who's going to be our master chef, and that's going to be Akash. My colleague Akash actually was on MasterChef. Gordon, it was season 3, I think. No, season 12, I lie. And then let's have a photographer. That'll be Adam. Oh, I'm not alone in here. So as you guys can see, a little icon just popped up here with the S and the J. So those are Shane's initials. So that tells me Shane is actually in this document with me, co-authoring, and if he maybe needed to, I just butchered his name earlier. He could have gone in and changed that. So Shane, will you actually put in cell 6A, will you write, let's see, what else were we missing? Let's do what's another good thing for a newsletter? Pop culture. Who's going to be doing pop culture? So let's put that on Bonnie. And this is real time. He's actually doing this as we speak, which I think is really neat. You're able to see, oh, switch that. Or, you know, oh, I did it wrong.
Yeah, I think you switched after a couple columns.
I did. Okay. So he can go fix that for me and help me out. He just, you know, it's always greater to have two pairs of eyes on something. So great. That's just a great example of co-authoring, what it looks like. And as you guys know, I literally created this. I didn't have to upload it. I didn't make it in Excel first. I actually created it in Excel, which I think is just a really awesome way to make everything a little bit easier. So it's all saving in the back end. I'm going to go ahead and close this out because we've got our assignments made. But one of the things I want to do is maybe this is going to be an evolving document as people get added to this team or we maybe rearrange the situation a little bit. I'm going to go up here to what I call the tab bar. So these are all of our tabs, just like you're used to in your browser. These are things that we can tab and come back for later use. I'm going to go up here and click this plus button, which brings me to a selection of applications and tools that are all available to be tabbed in this bar. I'm going to click on Excel, and it actually is going to take me right to the one I just created in Teams. So now I can put newsletter roles, I can save it, and it's going to actually make this Excel document super easy to find. So let's say I was in the general channel and I needed to make sure that everyone's jobs were assigned. Go to our roles and responsibilities channel. And over here, we've got our Excel, which I can actually rename. Yep. I'm going to rename this to the newsletter roles. So how easy was that? Super, super discoverable. You're never going to lose anything. You're going to be able to keep your documents straight up. I really, really like this feature, and we use it a lot. If I want to edit, I can click edit and immediately get thrown into the document so that I'm able to make any changes that I need to make. I'll take a pause there. I'm going to get a sip of water. If there are any questions, please feel free to throw them in. We can show co-authoring again should you need it.
Yeah, I actually had somebody ask a question that is very relevant to what we were just doing. And they are asking, how do you upload files to the team site instead of creating them within it? And do the files need to be on SharePoint, or can you upload them from your desktop, or both? And I don't know if you want to answer that. I can answer that, either one.
I will go ahead and show exactly how to do that. That brings me to our next topic perfectly. So great segue. I'm actually going to create actually, I'll put it in the general channel. So let's say we've got our roles and responsibilities created. Everybody knows what their job is. Well, the next step is going to be to upload that working document that is the actual newsletter. So before our session today, Shane and I hopped onto Microsoft Word and looked through the templates and found what we thought was the best looking newsletter template. It ended up being it's a travel newsletter. So I'm going to go to the general channel here, go over to files. And under files, there's this little upload button, and you can absolutely upload from your desktop. I love uploading from OneDrive in particular because I think it makes it the most accessible, but I will click upload here. I'm going to click a file, and these are my actual, my PC's files. So I just clicked a template file I had saved previously today, and I am uploading it. You can see here that it's happening right now. It's just going to take it just a second. There is some content in there. And the best part about Teams too is everything's going to be right here. So I go over here where my conversations can happen within this channel. I click files, and there's that document that I just uploaded. It's just going to take us a little second. No such thing. But here's that newsletter template document. And the same thing goes here. If I want to make that document up here in my tab bar because it's a constantly working document, I can actually go over to Word. And there it is again, because I uploaded it from Word. I'm going to save it there. It saves it as Word. I want to rename it, so I right-clicked, and I'm going to title it Working Newsletter. And we'll put, and I guess the next date, we'll put it out for August 30th, or 30th. Okay. Saving it. And there you go. Your document's pinned up here to this tab bar, ready to go, ready for your edits, and ready to start actively working on it. So that being said, Shane, if you want to come on in here with me, I'm going to click edit. Again, it's going to have me edit right here in Teams. And we've already got our template that we uploaded ready to go. So let's call this the newsletter ninjas, August 2020. Oh, see, there's Shane. He just joined me in here. And I think this is so awesome. The ability to co-author, and I'll talk a little bit about co-authoring. So I have worked with up to, I think the most people I've had on one document was 10 without experiencing any like latency issues or slowness. I really think that this is something that we use probably daily. Whenever we have a communication email to send out, we'll upload the template onto Teams or into various channels, and I will ask people to actively work on these with me. And I really like that you can see what people are doing. You can see who is logged in, you see their initial, and I can, we uploaded this and like, it's really strange. So it's all there, it's just in white. So let's make all of this over here darker because it didn't do that automatically. Oh, sorry guys. Dun, dun, dun. Let's turn this a different color. There we go. So yeah, all of this can happen in real time. Shane is doing something. I can't tell what he's doing. So it kind of uploaded funny. So sorry about that. But that's just a really good example of how you could upload something directly from your computer, or you could upload it from SharePoint as long as it was, you knew where to pull it from. I also, one of the great things about channels and teams is you can create a folder. You cannot organize your one-on-one chat files like this, but you can organize your general or any of your channels within your team. So let's call this the deliverable folder. And then let's have a folder for photos for Adam to put in there. Create those folders. And then it's just like you're used to. You can actually, move. Yep, you can move it into different folders, organize it however you see fit. This is an awesome example of what it's like to really have the customizing features that Teams offers, and it really does give you an opportunity to organize your chaos, because I know we all have it, I sure do. Another great option that you have, let's say maybe you wanted a document or a OneNote of some sort, you could upload your OneNote here. If I click on this plus sign, I can actually, I can directly upload a notebook. So if you wanted to maybe use that to curate content, or if you wanted to have people upload certain things, you can have them do that there. One of the cool things too I like is if your organization has it enabled, you can actually upload a website, like a URL. This is a really great option if you are trying to get people to see the same thing. If you want everyone to visit the same blog or read the same article, this is a really great opportunity to use the website tab. So let's say before we get started, I want everyone to make sure that they have some tips and tricks. So some newsletter tips and tricks. I can go over here, and I already looked this up. Go over here and I can copy and paste a URL, any URL, and I can paste it here. And I love the way this ends up looking. I think it looks really crisp. And so, maybe not all applications are enabled in the government community cloud, but you do have the ability to upload URLs and have them kind of look like a landing page. So let's say I want everyone to go in and make sure that they know what is a newsletter, what are the purposes of a newsletter. I think this looks really clean. I think it's really easy to tell people to go take a look at, some quick statistics, some quick information to help people just be really successful with whatever it is they're working on. And as you can see here, it's going to stay tabbed. I can hop on over to the template and it's going to stay right there. So let's say that that's actually one of the first things we want to assign people as a task or a task to do. I can go ahead and upload or add another tab up here called Planner. I don't know if you guys have worked with Planner, but I really enjoy Planner. I think it's super useful. Newsletter. Let's do newsletter assignments. I cannot type when people are watching me. And then we can go into Planner itself and add tasks. So you have these options to separate by a bucket if you want to do everything under photography right here, or add a bucket that says movie critic, you can add it there, and Shane would be able to report into that. I'm sorry, I didn't ask for questions before I moved into Planner, but Shane, was there anything that you want to cut me off for and have me talk about?
We're all good right now.
Okay, sounds good. So let's add a task name, and we'll just keep it under the to-do bucket just because it's pretty general, but read the tips and tricks article. We'll make this due date Thursday of this week because we really got to get on it if we're going to get this thing out by the 30th. And we will assign it to Akash, Adam, Bonnie, Braden, Shane, and myself. So we just made it for everybody. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and add that task. Oh, talking is hard. So the way that it would look is everyone that was just assigned this task just got a notification that they were assigned something in Planner. When they click on it, you can see exactly where you are. So I've been assigned this task. I can click in progress, which is going to change, what's happening. Shane, will you go ahead and click complete on your end, and I will show what it looks like when certain things are completed. So over here, we've got our little schedule in our charts. I love that there's different viewpoints here and different visuals. It makes, project management a lot more fun, in my opinion. And I think that it gives people a little bit more of a level of engagement, especially whenever we're working from home. It's not fun to go ask your team, have they done what they were supposed to do? So I think Planner really alleviates some of that stress. We've got one completed, and I can tell, oh, did you just complete it for everybody?
That just shows who was assigned it and whether or not it was completed by the assigned people. But if you, on the right, I think there's that completed. If you open that up, it should say completed by me. Yep, there it is.
There it is. Completed by Shane just first. There it is. So Planner is kind of like a, project management tool, but it is a Microsoft first-party application. So super easy to use, very self-explanatory. And I like that you can also see the due dates of things. I'm going to go back to the board. We've got one completed task here. Donezo. I will go back to posts. So as you can see, all the things that we just added to the tab bar have actually been recorded in the channel itself. So it's kind of a good layer of like, maybe you missed something or you didn't quite catch who added what. You're able to check that out over here. If Shane were to add something to this tab bar, he would be able to do that because he's a member of the channel. And it would also be indicated here in this post as well. Okay, so what are some other things that we might need to do as a project team? One of the things that every project team is going to have to do is definitely meet up and have some discussions on content, time frame, tasks, themes, whatever it is, whatever you want. One of the things that we're going to have to make sure that we have is a weekly touch point. So great opportunity to do some progress checks or maybe have an open discussion on what should be for next month's discussion or next month's newsletter. So we're going to go over to our calendar. I'm going to select new meeting. Going to do weekly Ninja sync. I think it's so funny. We use like the same 4 words, like sync, touch base, meet up. We're going to add everybody in the channel. So we're actually going to put this channel here. Go down to our Newsletter Ninjas channel and put this in the general. And as you can see, if it's a private channel, you won't actually be able to post to that channel from here. But you can click general, and we're going to not have to add any required attendees because it'll post directly to the channel. So come prepared. Oh, I told Shane I was going to sing at some point today, and I just kind of did it. Come prepared with questions. Be ready to talk about next week's content. Okie doke, and let's make it for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Cool. Go ahead and send this off. As you can see, it's going to populate right here. It's uploading the content right now. Giving it a second. I'm going to get a sip of water. It's just taking a second because we're doing a lot. But eventually, once it happens, it will actually post directly to the channel itself, and it will show up on everyone's calendars. So let's hop on over to our team and see if it posted. Yep. So people can actually, whenever it comes time to, if it was tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning, I'd be able to see a little join button right here. I would see all of the users that are actually in that meeting right now. And from there, we'd be able to do everything that you're used to with a meeting. So for the sake of demonstration, Shane, will you hop in there with me so we can show what that meeting looks like? So I just clicked on that meeting directly from the channel, and I'm going to click join. I'm going to take all that away because we don't need any of that. And here we are inside the actual meeting. And there's our Shane boy. There he is. Awesome. If there are any questions about meetings, now is a great time to put those in the chat. Today's session is not about meetings, but happy to help if there are anything that anyone is curious about. I'm going to show what it looks like to actually create meeting notes. Meeting notes are kind of like an internal specific meeting OneNote almost, which is exciting. So I'm going to click on this meeting notes button. I'm going to click on this take notes button. Shane's making fun of me right now in the comments that you guys cannot see. Very funny. Okay, so meeting notes, exactly like what you're used to in OneNote. That looks, it looks like there's a little section header. So we'll do August 30th edition. Oh, nope, 20th, August 30th edition. I can't believe Shane just called me out so hard. Okay, so let's do, what should our theme be this week? I think it should be Batman, Shane, since the new Batman trailer just came out. We're going to do Batman. Oh, I have to click this button. Wait, there we go. So I think it's helpful to assign, there we go. I think it's helpful to assign one person to be kind of like the quote unquote, meeting recorder, meeting secretary, because it's difficult when you get a bunch of people in here trying to add the same notes. So I always assign one person to be the meeting notes person, Adam to get photos of Batman himself. Okay. And that's what it looks like over here. I'll show you in a second what it looks like. Let's say that one of the things that we all do in meetings, especially weekly meetings, is the first 30 minutes, you go over what you talked about last week. And then before you know it, that 30 minutes is completely taken up by a review. Meeting notes really helps kind of alleviate some of that stress. People are able to log into the meeting faster, see what happened last week, take a quick cursory glance at those meeting notes, and are able to get into new information and new content a lot quicker. So I really like to use meeting notes. I think it's very helpful. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here and hop out of this meeting. And then over here, we can actually see here are our meeting notes, which is great. And you'll also notice up here in our tab bar, we have a new tab called meeting notes. And that is another place where this will go. A lot of times I will record like parking lot questions or questions that aren't available. We don't have the answers for them. I will put them on the meeting notes, and then I'm able to go back in and answer those questions live on the meeting notes themselves so that everyone has the same visibility. Yeah, so Shane, any questions?
There's one I'm just answering right now, so I guess it's probably easier for me to voice it out loud than to type it all out. Is there a way when uploading a file to only have it sent to those in the meeting? And the answer to that is if it's a channel meeting and you upload a file to that channel meeting, then everybody in that channel will have access to that file. If it is a regular meeting, then only the people invited to that meeting will have access to that file.
Yep, and that's a great distinction. So what we just created and we're in currently, that was a channel meeting. So that means that it was actually in the channel. Everyone who was a member of this channel would have access and the ability to click join and join that meeting. However, the difference is you can also create a meeting that is only going to a few select people. So let's do newsletter, leadership, meetup. And I would be able to say, okay, let's add Shane and Adam. And let's make that for this afternoon at 2 p.m. I could also go to scheduling assistant and make sure everyone is available. Shane, you are unknown, so I'm still going to make it for 2. And we'll go ahead and have this not repeat and just, we're not going to put it on a channel. So I'll click send. And then everyone that I just invited to that meeting would get a notification and it would be added to their planner should they accept it. And so from here, I'd be able to go in, select chat, select files, do everything that we've already showed. The share button will allow you to upload a photo or upload a document if you want that to happen before a meeting, and it would only be viewable by the people in that specific meeting. So hope that clarifies your question. Sometimes I feel like a radio host on these calls, so I almost said, thank you, caller. I also watched Sleepless in Seattle recently, so. Another thing that I think is important to know as you're navigating through a project, it's really helpful to use the channel. I know that a lot of people think, okay, well, the channel is just for formal or like specific announcements, and then they will go to chat for any like clarifying questions or one-on-one conversations. But one of the things that we're actually doing internally at Microsoft is when people put information or pose a question in a chat, we respond with hashtag should have been a channel post. Because the channel is really what offers you the most visibility. The things that matter the most are going to be in channels, or at least they should. So if you were, crowdsourcing for an answer to a question that you have, or maybe a customer question, don't just send that out to like a handful of people in a chat. Actually utilize the channel functionality. And I think it's going to make your life a lot easier because it's easier to find. You get more eyes on the question itself. And then you actually create a thread. If someone wanted to reply here, we would have a thread associated with our meeting sync. But if I wanted to create a new post or a new announcement, a new conversation, it would all happen in the channel, and it's a lot easier to find. So, I could say, post your favorite coworker photo. Here, I know all of our coworkers now have changed to dogs and babies and spouses, which is always fun. At mention someone who, and I go ahead and send that. And this is a thread that's going out to the channel itself. It's not just going out to a select group of people. This is going out to anyone who has visibility into this general channel. And then from there, everybody can hop on here, reply, and it creates a string of posts, much like you're used to with social media. On Facebook, you can post something and then there's a thread of comments. I do not try to read all those ever. But an example of this in a best practice or use case is this ... You can click save. So let's say that I really want to make sure that we publish some of these photos, funny pictures of coworkers, of people working from home. I want that to be one of my areas of responsibility. I could save this message. And then when I go up here to my little thumbnail up here, my little headshot or my initials, click on that and I can go to saved messages. And then I can always find, well, of course it doesn't show up, but it typically would be right here. I feel like I just did that right. Let me go double check. Go up here. Right. Okay, it says it's saved, so let's check it out. Go down here to saved. Well, normally that would not happen and it would show up right here, but I don't know why it's not doing that. But saving messages is a great way to make everything super discoverable and easy to find should you need something later. But any questions about saving?
Yep. I will say, Abby, I have noticed in the demo tenants, for some reason, saving messages takes way longer than it does in live. Okay. I don't know why, but every time I try to show it in the demo tenant, it takes a lot longer. But then the next time I go into the demo tenant, they're in the saved messages. So not sure why, but the demo tenants can be a little wonky sometimes.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So yeah, if you guys are trying this at home, go ahead and save a message, and it should save instantaneously to your saved messages section of your Teams. But with that, I've gone through the things I think are the most critical for creating a project from start to fruition. We're not going to get on here and create the actual newsletter. I didn't can enough content for that. So that is kind of what we're going to do for today. But I'm going to add a little bit of an audible here and see if this works. I don't know if it's going to, but let's say we wanted to do we wanted to do a survey form. So like as users are navigating through the newsletter, hi Maud, maybe we want to ask for some feedback. So we could go to Microsoft Forms, create a new form, newsletter survey. We're going to get some very one-sided feedback. We'll do a yes there, a no there, and add a theme. Let's do a rocket ship. Yes. Okay. And now here's where another use for that website tab is going to be great. So we're going to copy this, make it it's a URL there, and we'll go over back to our general, and we can add a new tab here. Add that website. Feedback survey. Paste our link here. And it takes us directly into that survey. So I did that kind of fast, but basically I created a survey, copied and pasted the link that is made from that form. I put it directly as a website tab onto my tab bar. And now that makes it super easy if we want to, check this out, see what the survey looks like, and see if we can get those responses back from people and kind of what the responses look like. All right, I know I finished early, but please throw some questions at us. Or Shane, was there anything else you wanted to add, or perhaps anything anyone wanted me to go through again?
Oh. Had a couple questions about how many people can co-author together. So I don't know if maybe you want to talk about that a little bit more and talk about some of the restrictions with co-authoring, like how everybody needs to be in a different part of the document.
Yeah, what does it do whenever people are all trying to do the same cell or something? I know that it just doesn't, you can't click on it, right?
If somebody's already typing in the same cell in Excel, for example, if you try to type in there, it'll be like, sorry, you can't do that.
Okay, yeah.
Same with if you're trying to get into the same paragraph in Word or the same slide in PowerPoint. They will be locked for editing.
Yeah, awesome ad there. Yeah, I like I said earlier, I think that the most people I've had in a document, I think I've had up to 10. And even at 10, I didn't really see any latency issues. So there might be kind of a fun trial and error situation. Test it out. I think that 10 or less, you're going to be able to do everything super seamless and in real time. I think if you go over 10, it does get maybe a little bit longer. There might be a little bit of a lag, but we use co-authoring all the time. It makes things happen so much faster. Gone are the days where you have to have version 1, version 2, that kind of stuff, and keeping track of all of that. That's over with because it just took too much time for sure. I must have just covered everything so clearly. So I hope this did show everyone what it's like to be a little bit more productive in Teams and what it looks like to use all the functions that we have offered in Teams, like tabs and applications. Pinning things to a tab bar is critical. I think it really helps, especially with early adoption of Teams. Having things be as easy as possible is really, really essential to not only the perception of a new technology, but getting things done. And I think that one of the biggest components of Teams that make it so great is that we really do try to make everything as easy as possible to find, not only just to find, but also to utilize. And as I said before, everything can happen in Teams. So I think it really helps with the day-to-day and your rhythm of business if you try to stay in Teams and get out of email. We did I think it was Forrester survey that kind of quantified some of the perks of working with Teams, and one of them was saving up to 4 hours a week in outside of email. So I know that I don't like filtering through emails as a job responsibility. It's not my favorite. But speaking of surveys and feedback forms, we do have a feedback forum, and it's not just an obligatory survey that we are showing people or asking people to do. I really am every single Tuesday and every Thursday going in and looking at the responses provided to actually try to create a better experience for the people that come to these training events. If you guys have the time, Shane, do you have the link? Oh, awesome. Yep. It's a form there, and Shane just put it in there at 1:48. So if you have a second or two, just head on in there. Let us know how we did today, what we can improve on, what you'd like to learn more about. At the end of each month, for the next couple months, we are going to be doing like a best practices. So if there's something that you didn't get a chance to see this month, or you'd like to see something live, please put that in that survey, because I really am taking those seriously, and I'm trying to input what is given there into these interactive sessions. Today's session is recorded. It'll be on our YouTube playlist called Learn Teams for Gov. Shane, you came off mute.
Yeah. One of the questions is, are there any just Teams do's and don'ts that you can think of that you want to cover? I know we're going to have our own best practices training. One of the things I can think of is when you are trying to respond to a message in a channel, make sure that you are actually clicking the reply button and replying directly to that message, and not starting a new conversation, because I can't tell you how many times when Teams was first rolling out, you would just have a bunch of individual messages being sent in channels that are responding to other people's messages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one, because that's the difference here. So I could reply to this, or I could create a new conversation. And he's saying that definitely make sure you click reply and you're not just starting a new thread, because that kind of defeats the purpose of having the threaded conversation. I don't know. I'm kind of wanting to tell you, do's and don'ts. You might need to tune in on Thursday for some of those. But right off the top of my head, don't create a team for every single thing you can think of. Overwhelming your organization with a bunch of teams can really be a hindrance to the adoption of Microsoft Teams. As I said before, one of the best advice I can give you is, if you have a long-winded project that you've been assigned, or if you have a standing team or work group that you work with every single day, and you know that you're going to need to have distinct channels for that work group, create a team in that situation. But if you're given a task that you know will be completed at the end of the month, or even in the next 2 weeks or something, that's whenever I would create group chats. Group chats are awesome. They still give you the capabilities of uploading things as files. It's still quick recall on where you upload the files to. So let me see if I have one already in this demo tenant. Budgeting team. So this is a group chat that was created that's actually being referred to as a team. They didn't spell that right, but this is an example. You still have your files. You can also still add more applications. You can throw in a website tab. You can throw in a working document. But bombarding your organization with a bunch of different teams can be a little overwhelming and a little chaotic. So that was one of my biggest don'ts. Don't be intimidated by something that is new. I think that Teams is super, once you get the hang of it and once you're working around all of the fun features that are available, it can be really, really easy to get immersed in Teams. So I think just don't be afraid of it, and be a champion of Teams. Get on there and play with it. You spend a couple hours a week trying to get more comfortable, and when in doubt, like I said, always click that ellipses, because it'll give you a lot more options. But we're going to go into more detail about some best practices, some do's and don'ts, tips and tricks on Thursday. All right. Shane, were there any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and end us a little early, give everyone some time back today. I really appreciate everyone attending. And don't forget to maybe fill out that feedback form.
When attempting to join a meeting from Outlook Calendar, it automatically attempts to join via the browser and asks if I want to open Teams in desktop. Is there a way to change default configuration so that it opens in the desktop automatically? So I'm not sure if maybe GCC is just a little bit behind on this, but I know for me, eventually the box that popped up and asked if I was allowed to launch it in the Teams app had a little checkbox that said always launch it in the Teams app. So I would say just keep an eye out for that. Once you get that, it'll just always launch in the Teams app for you.
Or that might be a question for your IT department. I'm not sure if that's a specific configuration that organizations can make, but there might be a button that they have to click in the admin portal that says offer end users the ability to only open in the application. So maybe send an email to your IT.
Another question In regards to a team you want to use for everyone in the tenant in the place of an email that you would send to the entire tenant. So if you have to notify everyone in the organization, use a team that everyone in the tenant is a member of that you can chat the information to rather than all tenant email that you send to everyone.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I don't really see a question in there, but
no, I think that was a team's due. I think that was a tip and trick. Love it. Getting it from the audience.
Oh yeah, I also earlier we had a question about distribution lists. And no, Teams by default does not support creating a team from a distribution list. However, if you go into Outlook, you can create, depending on your permissions, you may be able to create a Microsoft 365 group from within Outlook, and you can add everybody in the distribution list to that group. And then right there, Abby just clicked on it, you can then create a team from that group. So you just have to do one extra step. If you have a distribution list, you can add all the people from that list into a group and then make a team from that group. That's basically the workaround right now. But distribution lists are really only email. They're just supposed to be used for email, so that's why.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane.
All right, so yeah, I guess we'll hang around for another minute or so to see if we have any new questions, but otherwise, we're looking good. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. I cannot see the Q&A anyways, so. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and end our live event, and I hope to see you guys on Thursday.